All right. Hello, everyone. It's look like you guys are ready to go. We are ready. We thought we were going to be running till 11 o'clock, and then we started the debate. Actually, finally ended. So our co-hosts are all on. I guess we are here. We're ready to go. We had made two changes, so I thank you for hanging in here with us. And we're going to bring up my co-host, and then this is Coach Justin Johnson from Hartsville, South Carolina, and we have our guest co-host, Dr. Oliver McCray from Greenwood, South Carolina, and we're just going to jump right on in here, fellas. Thank you for being with us tonight to discuss this, whatever it was. And I don't even know where to start. Um, I tell you, man, Coach Johnson always mentions something about things being baked, and particularly with where it falls with this whole uh, Republican or Democrat right now, man. Things pretty much just baked in the cake. It is what it is. You're gonna be for who you're gonna be for. Um, but where do we start, Bishop? What do you say about this? I don't even know where to start. I had my point. I had my little tablet and everything, trying to be astute. But of course, and you have your own opinions out there, and you can make your comments. But this was a clown show.
Uh, Doc, that's the said mildly. And I think that we already knew, what we were dealing with, and Biden knew what he was dealing with going into this thing. But um, President Trump took it to a different level.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I've seen him be a bully, but tonight, I mean, he was like Goliath against David, just spewing out everything that he could. I mean, he threw everything in the kitchen sink at Biden, interrupted him, deflected him, got him off message a couple of times. And I was sitting there and I was thinking, if this was Ali Frazier, Ali Holmes, or who was it? Ali and George Foreman, the
Mm-hmm.
rope a dope would have been perfect for this fight.
Mm.
And all Joe had to do, Dr. White, and what's my brother in Hartsville?
Johnson, Justin Johnson.
Dr. Johnson and Dr. White, all Biden had to do was go in the corner and let Trump punch.
Mm-hmm.
Just let him run his mouth, because nothing he said was substantive. And that's how it's always been. Everything was bullying, everything was disrespectful, everything was fear mongering, everything was an attack. And Biden, he tried to get on that level with Trump, but you can't fight a bully like that. There
Mm-hmm.
has to be a strategy that you have to use. And he did pretty good. He tried to talk to the camera, he tried to talk to the American people. But there's no way anybody can say that this debate was won by anybody, because it wasn't a debate. It was two kids in kindergarten and one bully taking the right away from somebody else who had the same right to talk. And I just can't believe people vote for this guy, man. I can't believe he's the president of the free world. I cannot. I mean, the leader of the free world. What I saw tonight, Johnson, was despicable. It was ludicrous. It was ridiculous.
Well,
It
Bishop,
was sick.
what and Johnson, what would those that are for Trump, what would they say about this? What do you think they would say?
Well,
Uh,
I think they're quickly trying to draw a comparison, right? They want to say, look, both of them were the same. They're trying to make the argument. I already see it on Facebook right now. They're already trying to say, oh, this was, kind of like what you're hearing now. Oh, this wasn't a debate. This was a joke, blah, blah, blah. Right. So they're using that because they want to draw this equivalence between Trump and Biden.
Mm-hmm.
There is no equivalence for tonight. Okay. Now,
Right.
Biden, I thought early in the debate, he stood up to him. And I know some people would say that, he shouldn't have. But if you notice the tone change when he stood up to him and he
That's
didn't
right.
back down. Then Trump had to listen. So he slowed down a little bit. So then he started to actually listen to what Biden was saying, and he tried to throw out one-liners because earlier in the debate, he wasn't trying to let him talk. He was just trying to bully him and take over the time, right? So Biden commanded that and demanded that. Now, the problem is, I think two people failed in this debate, and neither one of them was Biden. It was the moderator and it was Donald Trump, right?
Absolutely.
And that's why you see this, because he couldn't control him. But to his credit, nobody can. I mean, the man has been in the White House. He's been doing the absolute, anything you can imagine. And I don't know if we're surprised. I think maybe some people are surprised, but I'm not surprised by this tonight. Actually, he did the same thing to Hillary in 2016. She beat him point for point in these debates. But that was the first time in 2016 we realized these debates don't really carry much weight when it comes down to Donald Trump. This is just his opportunity to get his one-liners in, his digs in. And I think he overplayed his hand tonight by going after Biden's son. And I think he really pushed a lot of people away with that, because you're attacking the son, one who's died and can't speak for himself, and then you attack another who's had a bout with drug addiction and who's obviously is always going to be an addict, right? You're always an addict for life. But can you imagine having that be somebody's little talking point on national TV? I mean, that's just unreal. We know people who deal with these types of things. We know people who deal with addiction. All right. So to make light of it, to make it some political point on TV, national TV at that, I thought was about as low as you can go. And I don't think there's no coming back from that one.
All right. Well, let's try to draw down a couple of topics if possible. And I agree with I know Latoya's grandmother, and her nickname is Gangsta Nana. And Gangsta Nana would have handled that, that's for sure. Yeah, he's a true bully, and to no one abides by any rules, anything. Correct. All right, let's the Supreme Court. Well, it really came down to what we would be losing with the appointment of a Trump judge right now, and I don't think he had a response for that. Did I miss it?
No.
So
No, he didn't. He didn't draw the comparison. Like, he didn't say, if ACA, let's just say the Affordable Care Act, when they talked about Supreme Court, they said, hey, that's up there on November 10th. That could be struck down. And Biden did a great job of saying, you put out some executive order that has no weight, saying that you will protect pre-existing conditions. That's not going to save pre-existing conditions if this law is repealed. Like, that's just not going to happen, right? So he didn't present a plan. I mean, that's just what it comes down to. Like, I'm gonna be honest. I came into tonight, I was like, I'm going to be fair. I told you that earlier, Doc. I said I'm going to listen for the things that Trump says that he's done well with, and I didn't hear that tonight. I really didn't.
Well, there was no plan presented. Bishop, did you agree with that? I just didn't see. There's no plan.
No, and the truth of the matter is there hasn't been a plan from the GOP since before Obamacare. There hasn't been health care, and they've had
12 years.
12 years, and there still has not been a replacement for the Affordable Care Act. And that's the sad thing about the Republicans in the House and the Senate. When he had the House and the Senate, he still didn't do anything to replace it.
That's it.
Even when John McCain didn't vote for it, They didn't have a backup plan.
No.
They wanted to get rid of it. And listen, I was a big I voted for Obama, but it was a lot of policies that I questioned under his administration.
Right.
And when it came to the Affordable Care Act, Doc, I love them subsidies, especially if you're a pastor. I love getting them subsidies. But the thing about it is, there's a lot of tweaking that could have been done. It could have been a lot better. I don't think you should get rid of it. I think you should make it better. And I think that should have been Biden's key in order to get some of these independents, is to say, you know, the Affordable Care Act is not the best, and I know it needs to be tweaked, but we're not going to get rid of it and take 20 million people off their health insurance in the middle of a pandemic.
Okay.
Yeah, I think he tried to make that point, but he got interrupted.
He did.
But he did mention 20 million people. He drove that home, 20 million people. And Trump said it's not true, that number is false. But 20 million people are on this plan, and they would be pretty much high and dry come November 10th, potentially. When the Supreme Court, if this nominee that he's putting forward actually does what she said she's going to do and votes to repeal.
Yeah.
Okay.
And
So go
something,
ahead.
Dr. White and Johnson, that's something to me that is biased already. That you go in saying it's unconstitutional. But you know, we've seen, you know, the Chief Justice Roberts has been a prayer answering judge for the Democrats, because he's upheld some things that he was conservatively would have been against when he was voted in as Supreme Court, when he was elected. So, you know, and Judge Roberts has really showed that he's a real judge, man. He's not left or right to me. You know, I think Johnson, that he was a conservative going in.
Yes.
But he supported some liberal policies.
Yes.
Because of the law, not
Law.
because of partisan politics.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So looking at this from the standpoint, now I was hoping to have some that are Trump supporters on tonight, and if you're out there, you can respond in the chat session, because they definitely had a whole lot to say on the post. I don't know if you guys saw that, and I asked you guys not. I learned that you can only see it on the Historic Goodman Creek page, but there's hundreds of comments and back and forth. So with that said, I want to keep them in mind by suggesting what they would see on each topic. So with that said, what do you think they would see as good health care coming from their president? Since we didn't hear a plan, what would you suggest that they are hearing for as a health plan or thinking?
They're not even thinking that far ahead, right?
No.
That's the reality of it. Like we can say whatever we want, but they're not thinking that far ahead. They're thinking the same way he's thinking, which is Obama did it, so we got to undo it. That's it. That's all for these 4 years has all been about how do we undo everything Obama did, because in their mind he did nothing well, right? So when we listen to them up there tonight and Trump saying, well, I'm going to do this as far as climate change, right? This is the most he's moved towards the middle on climate change. I mean, up there tonight. But then Biden came back and said, well, we had these things in place, so why did you undo them? You know, so that's the nature of it. They've been so set on trying to undo everything Obama that's all that's fueled them, right? The task force, the pandemic task force, it was in place when he came in office. Now he undid it, and it's not there. So I don't think they're thinking that far ahead. All they think, or what they hear, is the economy is thriving, but the economy was not thriving for everyone. And I hope Biden and his campaign, the Democrats, really drive that home. The stock market is not the economy. The stock market is not the economy. I can't say that enough. There are a lot of people living paycheck to paycheck that don't have a dime to put into the stock market. That's not a representation of them, right? And to be honest, a lot of Trump supporters have voted against their own interests when it comes down to that. And so I don't want to put them all in there and say they're not but by and large, when I talk to them, it's just Obama did. So kind of what you heard tonight. Like every time Trump got in the corner, he called Obama and he attacked Obama because that's all that plays for them. That's what they hear. Undo what Obama did.
Mm-hmm.
And we have to also, Dr. Johnson, we got to look at the mere fact that the demographic of Trump's base is white men, and then uneducated, I'm sorry, non-college degree holders who are white.
Yes.
Those are his biggest supporters. And what I don't understand about the white demographic that makes under $20,000 a year is that there's nothing in his economic plan that has benefited poor folk. There's nothing in Trump's plan that has benefited people who are basically not rich, you know, and it's really left them out to dry. But when you have sold your soul to a party based upon an ideology that is opposite of Obama, just because it's opposite of Obama, then it's hard for you to swallow your pride and admit we're not progressing. This is not helping us. My rent hadn't gone down. My prescription drug costs are still the same. Yeah, my health care hadn't gotten any better. You know, there's no plan for me in his health plan because there's not a health plan for him to be in. And Trump, what Trump could have done, and if there's some Trump supporters on here, if he would have talked about the things that he has accomplished, and he tried to, if he'd have stuck with the military, if he'd have stuck with a relationships, even with North Korea, because that was something that Obama couldn't do. If he would talk about the things that has worked for him, and there are some things that work for him. And when he got to the Black American type thing, he should have went to the Black male demographic, because with Black males, he's got about, I think, 8%, maybe 10% of the Black male electoral vote. And if he'd have talked about the things that he's done well, instead of attacking everything that Joe did, I think he would have got a little bit more support.
Okay.
And that's just me.
I agree.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I said. I said I thought he had a list of talking points that were good coming into tonight. So I was really, I was waiting for him to draw on those things that you just mentioned. And I think from the opening 2 minutes, I was like, oh boy, that's not going to happen tonight. We're not going to hear accomplishments like, and I hope moving forward, and maybe Kamala Harris, when she's on there with Pence, she can hammer this down. But saying that he has done more for Black folks, like that's the point right there that bothers me, because you've done so much for Black folks until here we are, kind of like Chris Wallace tried to nail him on another thing. Well, 5 days before you present this plan, before this debate, you present this plan. If Black folks, if we were a part of whatever agenda you had, why do you now release your quote unquote platinum plan last week? Again, right before this debate, right when you feel like you're kind of struggling in the polls a little bit. Now you want to put out this little, we're going to make the KKK a terrorist group. Just these things that should have been done when you were saying Charlottesville was good people on both sides. You see what I'm saying? So now he's throwing these little bit of things to his $500 billion platinum plan that we probably won't ever see. But it's just something to put out there to say, look at what I'm trying to give you, Black folks. I'm trying to do something for you. And to me, it drives me into a different place, because now that's pandering on a different level. That's playing on my intelligence now. So it's like you're saying Black folks can't think straight.
That's right.
That's kind of what I take from it.
It's the LeBron James syndrome with Laura Ingraham. Just dribble and don't talk about politics. You just dribble the ball.
Or and this may be very petty of me, but I set y'all free.
Wow.
Did y'all catch that? I
Yeah.
set them free.
Yeah.
I'm like,
You saw
really?
you talking about the people from prison?
Yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yes.
yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yes.
And not only did you set black folk free, but you set folk free that lied to your own administration. you
Oh yeah.
know, and then
Yeah.
all the rest of them. And we know Flynn and all of his boys that have that were arrested and indicted. All those guys that were loyal to the president will be pardoned and set free, whether he wins or lose. They coming out, man. Manafort
Yeah.
is coming out. We saw the other guy that came out, his understudy, his right hand man.
Mhm.
Roger Stone. He came out. All of them coming. Only one ain't coming out is the lawyer,
Mhm.
Cohen. You know.
Yeah. Well, and then the question is, who's gonna get him out?
Oh.
Yeah, that's the elephant in the room.
Oh. Oh.
uh, but check this now. Before we leave the economy, which we went into for that topic, getting back into the having the businesses to start back up or trying to force um, instead of curing the virus, fixing that instead of fixing that before we go opening up the economy is what I'm trying to say, I guess. How much of that is his own agenda of pushing the economy open to benefit the debt that he has, to try to get money for the debt that he has?
I mean, that's
At
pretty obvious,
the
right?
risk, yes.
when the taxes finally got leaked, I think we finally figured it all out. Why the economy means so much to him, because having it open, which he's kind of struggling right now. People stop going to his resorts and what have his hotels, so he's struggling. So he needs this open. Like it's self preservation. It's not. That's why the economy means this much to him. That's why he's putting pressure on the CDC to say that kids can go to school. That's why he's doing these things, because he wants the economy going. And he'll say that that'll get him reelected. And to a degree, that's part of it. That's the other part of the self-preservation. But the other side of it is the financial benefit to him and the gain to him.
Okay. And um, Bishop, did you know he bought back the football? I didn't know that. I missed that.
Plays well in Iowa, buddy. Let me tell you.
Oh,
Big,
plays well in Ohio. That's why I threw up the Big Ten.
yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
yeah.
everybody was playing, but the Big Ten and the Pac-12, and what happened was when those coaches in those schools saw those other schools out there playing,
Mm-hmm.
they changed their plan.
Mm-hmm.
They changed their plan, and of course the president said, he thought it was a shame that the Big Ten wasn't playing football. Now he said nothing about the Pac-12. He said nothing about the ACC. He said nothing about the SEC.
Just the
He
battleground states.
because of that's Michigan,
Mm-hmm.
Wisconsin. That's where those big schools are.
Yeah,
So
and the battlegrounds where he needs to win.
That's right. That's right.
Mhm.
Pennsylvania, Penn State. So that's why he was saying Big Ten. You notice he didn't say SEC.
Oh,
Or the MEAC.
He already got them. He
yeah.
got the South.
Oh, well, yeah. Okay. Uh, let's look at the topic of race. The racial insensitivity. He wants to get America back to American principles, was his quote.
Mm.
That's why he took away the policy of the policies
Diversity
and the
training.
training of it. Yeah. Now,
That's awful.
I try not to, but okay,
Awful.
go back to American principles.
Well,
And
you notice he called diversity training racist. He said it was
Right, he
racist.
did. Yes.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
He said that trying to educate folks on the differences between other people, why we differ. He said that that is racist. Talking about our differences, understanding our differences, being appreciative of our differences, that is racist. But what he stoked is, hey, far right folks, fringe group, I won't even call their name, you guys stand ready.
Mm-hmm.
Stand ready. You know, be ready. That's what he wants. So that's not racist, but diversity training is.
So what about the black man that you mentioned, Bishop? I'm sorry for pointing. I just
That's a,
um that mentioned that you mentioned about that 9 or 10% hears that um he cannot even say that he's against white supremacy. What is it about that 9 to 10% black man that still would support him, and he won't condemn that?
well, just because they got our skin don't mean they can.
Mm. All
And
right, now I tweet that, I guess.
just because we're black men doesn't mean we support a equality agenda. And when I say equality agenda, I don't mean all men are created equal. I'm talking
Mm,
about an equality agenda that sets the playing field economically and from a social and from a justice, a criminal justice system perspective. Because the playing field is so uneven in America when it comes to black equality and black wealth. And one reason why Johnson, one reason why Dr. White is because let's be honest, after slavery, when they say we were free,
Mm,
we didn't really get free. So until what 1965, you
mm,
know, they said it was what 1865 or 1860 whatever it was when they passed that amendment, but it wasn't until we were able to vote that we were considered free. Excuse me.
mhm.
And so, how many years are we behind the eight ball starting out? 200 years? You can't catch up 200 years, man.
yeah.
Can't
Yeah.
do it. And 40 acres and a mule ain't gonna catch
Mhm.
I
Right,
agree.
right. So, Johnson, what's your take on that?
On the 9% or those who
Yeah.
support,
Mm-hmm.
well, I've always said it.
After hearing that he would not condemn white supremacy. I could
They
not.
don't
He wouldn't. Just told him to stand and be ready.
they don't care about that. I've said it before, being a black conservative is very lucrative. Just it. I mean, you make a lot of money being a black conservative. So
Mm,
that's what a lot of them are going to do. That's what they. I mean, if I wanted to make a ton of money, I could go on Facebook right now, say, "Oh man, I love Trump," and I guarantee you, my followers would go up. I could say something against Biden right now, but because I'm a black guy saying it, and I give permission for other people to retweet it or share it, I would
mm.
become an overnight success. That's Candace Owens. That's what happens. That's it. It's lucrative.
So
up.
you agree? Did you hear that, Bishop?
Absolutely,
You agree
absolutely.
with that?
Oh, absolutely. Listen, I I know that I'm one of those voices crying out in the wilderness. You know me,
Yeah.
why
Yes.
why
That's why I got you here.
I crowd and daily,
Mm-hmm.
and I'm with Johnson. Man, if I wanted to run for Senate right now, and I would flip on all the black people and started trashing black folk and started pushing the white agenda,
Mm-hmm.
Doc, I'd take Lindsey Graham's place.
All right.
I could be a rich black man right now if I
Mm-hmm.
sold my soul and just drop how I feel about my heritage and
Mm-hmm.
pretend as if it's our fault we're in the predicament that we're in.
That's a good example, Latoya, right there. I mean, that's a drop the mic moment. You look at the Attorney General in Kentucky.
Oh, absolutely.
But we got them all around us too, though. I mean, right there in Greenwood and here. Um,
But Dr. White and Johnson, we both know that black church people are the most conservative black folk. We
mhm,
stand for conservative principles.
mhm,
You know, we
mhm,
most of us are against abortion.
mhm,
Most of us in church,
mhm.
Christians,
Right,
are against same-sex marriage. Let's
right.
be real. Those
Yeah.
are things that push the GOP agenda. So we are really, really
Right.
conservative hard.
Mhm, mhm,
You know,
mhm,
the thing comes with the racism part.
Yeah.
mhm.
You know,
Right,
when you treat
right.
us like we're still slaves,
Mhm.
then that, excuse my French, no pun intended, but that trumps everything for
Yeah,
black.
yeah.
You know, I'm very conservative, man. I'm really, really a small government, independent.
Mhm,
I don't like big government. I don't think that people ought to be getting government aid for everything. I don't
mhm,
think every baby you have out of wedlock ought to be subsidized by the government. I
mhm.
think that folk need training. I think that
Yeah,
people need to go to work. You know, I think
yeah.
that some of these government programs that I support a lot of them, but some
Mhm.
of them are just giveaways.
Right.
And it's not helping our cause as a people because we become enabled on the government, and then we could become lazy. I hate to
Yeah.
say it.
Well, no, that's actually, and we'll go for about another 7 to 8 minutes. But that is also uh, systemic racism at its core by giving and not allowing us to be able to arise. And we've talked about that plenty of times before. Um, Putting black mothers in the projects and not letting men in, and that whole mentality there. And of course, he never did. Speaking of systemic racism, I don't recall him even mentioning when he was asked the question if he believed in it.
He wasn't going to.
No, he wasn't gonna touch that.
Hmm.
Just like he tried to hammer Biden down with not saying law enforcement. He's not going to touch systemic racism. I mean, that's just bottom line. I mean, I knew he wasn't going to answer it.
Yeah.
I mean, you think about it. You think about the Confederate flag. You think about how he fought against it at NASCAR. You
Mm-hmm.
think about how he fought against it, even at his rallies. They told him that not to bring these Confederate flags to his rally. And he told them, no, they're free. How about the governor up in Johnson? Remember the governor up in, was it the governor of Michigan or Wisconsin, the woman governor, when she was running, and how those white folk with those militia came with their AK-77s, AK-47s, and went inside the Capitol building.
Oh,
You know,
yes,
you
Michigan.
let black folk with some AK-47 walk up in the capital of South Carolina, and you see what's gonna happen.
Well,
Mm,
I mean, you don't have to look far. Just look at history. When the Black Panthers started buying guns and arming themselves, then we ended up having some changes on gun laws,
Preaching,
right? I
preaching,
mean,
right?
it is what it is. And I tell people right now, you want gun reform? All black folk go buy guns right now. Just start buying them up. You're gonna have gun reform tomorrow, and that's just the honest truth.
That
People
ain't
don't
no.
want to believe it, but it is the truth because it happened before and it'll happen again.
mm-hmm.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Hmm. That's good stuff,
yeah, it is. So um,
man.
now the homicide and the hate, the crime rate has gone up. They didn't acknowledge that either.
Well, I
Uh,
thought Biden did a good job of driving home that 15% decrease in violent crime
mm-hmm,
during
Yes,
the 8 years. 8 years. Now we've had 3.5 years or so of Trump and spike, right?
yes,
But he said the country was is most divided. The only reason the country was divided under Obama is because there were a lot of people who still couldn't get over the fact that a black man was leading in America. I mean, that's just the honest truth. But that's why they say it was the most divisive time. It wasn't because of Obama's policies, it was because of Obama's skin that it was a divisive time. But people don't want to acknowledge that. It was also because the Republicans, when he got voted in, they met and said, we're going to do anything and everything to block anything he tries to do. We're not
absolutely,
going to work with him. So if you
yeah,
call that being divided, then that wasn't his doing. That was again their doing. They sat back and did nothing for 8 years.
mm-hmm.
Yeah. It is what it is, though. Isn't that his saying?
That's
Yeah,
right.
yeah.
It is what.
And I never. And then, what are we going to do about the 200,000 people that are dead? There is no plan. I didn't hear a plan besides this vaccine, and I don't know who. Maybe he get his people to take it. I mean, people that follow him would take it, but I don't think you're gonna go now. Unless it's that 9%. I don't even think the 9% of black men. I don't even think they'll go that far. But for us, the community, the black and brown community that's being hurt by it the most, man, I don't see none of them trusting him with no vaccine. So what are we gonna do? What's his plan for that? Did
Well,
y'all?
he has a plan for that. And his plan in his mind is if he can get a vaccine before the election, of course, that's going to boost his numbers. But the thing, but who's going to take a vaccine that hasn't been tested properly? Normally, when I hear that it takes 2 or 3 years to get
Years.
a vaccine,
Yes.
they're pushing this thing in 3 months. And I'm not going to be a Tuskegee experiment.
Uh,
You're not gonna take me through that again. I'm not about to put anything in my vein that's been tested for 3 months. I don't see him talking about taking it.
No.
well, I think you're going to have an issue with this vaccine because now, I noticed about a month and a half ago they were saying they didn't have enough minority candidates in the trials, in the human trials, in the experimental phases. So how can they be so close to developing and they never had minorities involved or didn't have enough of them involved to show that it would impact minorities differently than it would white folks. So you're probably going to have what we have right now in our medical field and our healthcare system, which is a complete distrust amongst the minorities to even come anywhere near this vaccine. So who's
Mhm.
going to take it? I think that's ultimately what it comes down to. Who's going to take it? I think you're going to be in a wait and see posture. Most people are going to say, well, let's let so and so take it and let's see how they deal with it for about 2 or 3 months before we even think about taking it.
Mhm. Mhm. And that's not going to be it. There's no way that none of these drug companies are going to have a big enough sample size to determine if this vaccine is effective. You just don't have the numbers, and you're not going to get the numbers in 36 weeks or how many weeks we got to go. It's not going to happen. This vaccine, from the presidential's mindset, is a money-making political stunt. If I and don't let me tell you something. Don't you think that these deals that he's made with these drug companies don't include his own pockets and his family?
I was saying that too.
Right.
We'll find that out 3 years from now, but I guarantee you some of that's going to come out.
Absolutely,
Right.
absolutely, absolutely. And Putin too, and Russia, and
Mhm.
all his boys, he done made promises to. With these tax things coming out, Johnson now, 421 million dollars you owe to somebody. You owe 421 million, and you can't tell us who it is, and
Mm.
we pay $750. The last 2016, 2017 in federal taxes, you paid 70 million, but with tax loopholes and whatever his lawyers did, they forgave all of that 70 million, and then he ended up with $750.
He had a chance tonight to answer to the people. Chris Wallace asked him plainly, "Did you pay $750?"
And he
And he skirted around it, and then he said, "I've paid millions." So he made this blanket statement
Mhm.
rather than answer the question, which I think was an answer within itself.
Absolutely.
So I now believe the $750 claim. I believe it now.
So back to his people. Go ahead, Bishop.
$750. Y'all, I have been in situations where my wife and I had to get on a payment plan to pay our taxes back. You hear what I'm saying? We had to get on a
This
plan.
guy right here, yeah.
Listen, we ain't got $3,000, $4,000 to pay you
Mm,
back right now. You know,
Mhm.
so they said, well, Mr. McRae, get on the payment plan. So we still
Yeah,
paying it like a college loan with us, man.
yeah,
Mhm.
but that's Obama's fault.
I'm not. Oh, don't get me wrong. Oh, absolutely. I got problems with him too. That was
Well,
one of the problems I had in the Obama administration with that tax code. That hurt us, man.
yeah,
But then it got to a point where he couldn't get anything done. I think he had House and Senate when he first took over, if I'm not
Yeah,
mistaken, much
hmm,
like Trump.
yeah,
But to Obama's credit, he pushed through things that were near and dear to him.
he
Trump
did.
had House and Senate and got. I mean, if affordable care was that big of a deal, he had the opportunity when he first walked in the door to make it happen. Now he'll say John McCain tanked it, but it was because it was the right move. He had no plan, like you mentioned earlier.
hmm,
So he's had it. He's had the opportunity,
Mhm.
But if he had the support that he needed, John McCain wouldn't have even been able to tank it. But he doesn't know how to work across the aisle. And that's what Biden did do for Obama. Biden was the guy that went in to seal the deal. He sent Biden to go over there and wrangle the votes. He sent Biden in there to build the consensus. And that's what Biden was able to do. And he was able to work across the aisle. So I don't know. I don't walk away from tonight feeling any differently. I don't think Trump said anything that changed my mind. Biden didn't say anything that changed my mind, and I think that's most people.
yeah.
I, I
Ooh,
must agree with Johnson. Um, I hate to say this, but I had a lot of true preconceived notions about how this thing was going to be tonight because I knew the personality of the president and
yeah,
I knew the personality of Joe Biden, and I knew that the bullying fact was going to come out. I knew that the trash talking was coming out, and my thing was Biden, how you respond as he did in the first quarter of this debate. First quarter, Doc, it was 20-0.
Yeah,
You know,
yeah,
Biden was up 0. And then he started taking the bait, man. He started
mhm,
listening to Trump. He wasn't finishing his remarks, his
right.
statement, and he got caught up.
Well,
Well,
So
he started.
I saw it differently. I thought Biden came out and was down. I thought Trump was
Yeah, I
handling
did
him
too.
early, and
I did.
he had him stammering around. But then I saw him get his sea legs.
Right.
Then he started to really find himself. Then he
Right
started
around
to
the
finally
time he
find
started
that
getting
camera.
somebody.
He found
Yeah,
that camera. He started
right.
talking into that camera, and he started saying, "I'm not going to listen to him." And then I saw as it went on, he said less. He
Hmm.
pulled back. He said, "All right, dude, just keep talking."
Yeah,
I think he was really trying to draw that contrast. But I did feel early in there. I said, "Oh boy, he's coming out shaky." I thought he was kind of stammering
yeah.
around his words, and I was like, "He's not gonna get a thought through."
Actually,
Trump
matter
got
of
him
fact,
all killed her.
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. That was after the first, right after the first topic, the Supreme Court. That
Yeah, it was tough.
he rattled him.
Yeah,
But and then what got him going, and I had a preconceived idea that he would get that. First of all, Trump was going to try to blow it up, and then second, that he would get rattled. But if he gets rattled, only until he mentioned something about his kid, I mean about voting, and then he came back strong. You have to be a special person to debate
stand. Yeah,
Trump. Yeah, and for what it's worth, and as nasty as it was, I don't know if you could do any better with somebody just gonna be up there just disrespectful and just
talking over
never.
you.
Yeah, it's really not a debate. I'm gonna be honest. If I was Biden, I don't even know if I would debate him again. I really
Well,
don't.
I think that's what's probably going to happen. I think it's probably the first and the last. It
And for
wouldn't
what?
surprise me. I think you'll see the VPs, but I don't think Biden would want to go up there and do that again. Trump would definitely want to do it again because that's his style. That's what he liked. His supporters somewhere tomorrow or in the morning, whatever. We're going to see a bunch of them saying, "Oh yeah, Trump really gave it to him. He's no nonsense." But
Yeah.
at the end of the day, what does Biden get out of talking to this guy again? Nothing. I let
Mhm.
it be.
Right.
I,
Right.
I really I like how Biden. I'm with you, Johnson, and both of you too, Doc. I like how Biden. I like when he talked into the camera. I like
Hmm.
he talked to the American people. I like when he was talking about his plan.
Hmm.
I like how he did that. When he got off mark, man,
Yeah,
and he
yeah,
started
Hmm.
listening to that other voice over there to
Mm-hmm.
the right,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he got deflected.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And when he got, that's when he got knocked off his skates. And
Right.
he got back up, but he wasn't the same, man. He could have closed real. You know how you
Mm-hmm.
close when you're a preacher, doc. You
Yeah.
close
Yeah.
hard. You
Yeah.
want to put him on the cross, and and
Mm-hmm.
got up from the grave. That's my closing, man. And and Obama was a master closer.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah. Well.
Yeah.
And if Joe Biden could have closed tonight and looked in that camera and just ignored him and
Mm-hmm.
just kept preaching and kept talking, Doc, he'd have done much better. But y'all, like both of y'all said, man, it's hard to not even debate Trump.
Right.
Hard to just be in a room with him and have a discussion.
Right. Well, I'm gonna let y'all out of here on this. Two questions, right quick, and numbers are still up and going up. So I'm trying to hang in here, but we're gonna have to cut it off at some point. The first other topic was about the judges, and I'm certain they love him for the judges, but for
Mhm.
the ones that's in the skin that's not kin, this is what the judges look like.
That's right.
It's 112 of them.
Yeah.
But he's bragging about it. But that for those 9 and 10% uh, that don't get it, there it is right there.
And it's up to 200 now, Doc.
Uh,
200 now.
any
Yeah.
black and brown?
Not one.
No. But that was his strong point. That was the one. But to as much as we can give him that strong point, really, that's his way to appease the GOP. Let's be clear. Mitch McConnell let him know that that's what's important to him. So what it really comes down to is he does that to keep them at bay because that's all they care about is these judges and the Supreme Court. Let's be clear about that. And he said Obama left him 128 vacancies. Well, let's be clear again. Senate was Republican.
That's right.
They wouldn't fill those spots.
That,
So they intentionally were playing the long game to have those amount of vacancies for this very reason. So when Trump came in, they let him know this is the mandate. We're going to fill these, and we're going to fill these with some young judges who will be on the bench for the next 20 to 30 years.
that's right.
So as much as I want to give him the credit, I got to give McConnell and company credit because they hijacked that. They hijacked the Supreme Court, wouldn't let Merrick Garland through. They hijacked these appellate judges, and they made it happen.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
And
And
that statement right there, Latoya, about the federal judges that are there for a life appointment. This is more of a reason why it's this thing is bigger in this election, bigger than us. And those people are young that he appointed.
Can I say one more thing for the bishop jump on that, Doc?
Mm-hmm.
We have to ask ourselves, why is it important to the GOP to have conservative judges on the bench? Now, we've talked for years and we skirted around the privatization of these prisons, the money made off of these prisons. We talk ad nauseum about it, but you got to really start connecting the dots. Why is it so important? So important that it was worth hijacking. Why was it so important that they made sure Donald Trump knew that this was top of the list priority? We have to really understand what they see as policy, which is having these guys in place and women who will hand out sentences that will adversely impact minorities in this country. Period.
and then we want to talk about criminal justice reform and how many people. Okay, you
He
let out.
let them out, but he gonna put 1,000 in.
Yeah, you let 2,000 out. Now you're gonna put 10,000 in.
Mm-hmm.
And you think about the contracts, Johnson and Wiley, that they have. Somebody got to have uniforms for them prisoners. Somebody got to cook the food for them prisoners. Somebody got to do the utensils and everything. It's big, major business.
Mm-hmm.
Prisons is major business, and the GOP got a hold on it. You know what I'm saying? And they're not letting that go. That's why they got them 128 judges that they added that Obama couldn't get in because he didn't have the Senate.
And those are social issues that we deal with or have to deal with as a country. It's far more than abortion. If that's all you hang your hat on as a conservative, you're lost. You're really lost.
Well,
it's much bigger than this.
What's going to be interesting, Dr. White and Johnson, is there's a 65% support of Roe versus Wade, women's right to choose in America. 65% of America believe women should have the right to do what they want, their bodies or whatever they want. It's going to be real interesting to see what the Supreme Court does when you got a 65% approval rating from your people. That's going to be real interesting, man. That's going to be real interesting, especially when abortion is the number one thing for the far right. That's their ticket right there, man.
Yeah, but it's a fake ticket. It's just that it soothes their conviction of what Johnson just talked about. It gives them a blanket to look over all the other stuff that we were talking about as far as the social. It's to say that's a big ticket. Johnson, that was you. We were talking about the.
Yeah, I told you flat out. I said, even if you go back to 2016, a lot of people that voted for Donald Trump, if you talk to them, at least the ones that I talked to, the first thing they said was, well, it was about the Supreme Court. So they will find a singular issue that will justify voting for him. So they'll say, oh, I don't like what he says. I wish he would do this. But it was all about the Supreme Court. So this time around, it's going to be, well, it's all about abortion. But I get on my soapbox with abortion because at the end of the day, when it comes down to abortion, the primary person or demographic getting abortion, black women. These abortion clinics are primarily located in black and brown communities.
Yeah.
So if we really care, do I believe that when it comes down to black folks, you see them getting shot, killed, and the first thing you say is they should have complied. You don't value their life then. What makes me think that you value their life before they actually are alive, before they're actually born into this world? I don't buy it. Me personally, I don't buy it, because if you don't value their life pre or after birth, then how do you value it pre-birth? That's where I stand, because at the end of the day, it adversely impacts mainly the black community, these abortions, to be completely honest, because that's where you'll find them by and large.
Well, if you're gonna treat us like if you're gonna treat us like we don't exist after we exist, then why should you care that we exist at all?
And that's what they don't.
They don't care. They don't care. It's just a talking point for them.
That's it.
Just a talking point. And they're going to always bring the Bible. They're going to always bring the Bible. But they don't bring the Bible when George Floyd, you got your knee on her neck. And you got the Bible when Breonna was shot 7 times in an apartment. You don't bring the Bible in when a black man sitting in his apartment eating ice cream and a cop walks in talking about she in the wrong apartment and she thinks somebody in our house and she guns them down. Where your Bible at then? These far right, some of these far right evangelical preachers are so racist, it's ridiculous. And it's no different, Johnson and Wallet, than like it was when the slaves came over here and Massa was the pastor.
No different.
Massa was the pastor, and taught them what is right and what is wrong, and what Jesus said and what he didn't say. And it is your privilege to be my slave.
Yeah. That's where it's at. And that's the real deal. For real, that is the real deal. It's a modern day concept of what he said came out of his mouth, back to American principles.
Absolutely.
So, now I'm gonna get you guys out of here on this, and we got more and more people keep chiming in. I really hate to let it go, but
Keep going.
I want to thank y'all coming in from YouTube Live, from Periscope Live, and from 2 or 3 pages that we own on Facebook. We thank you for your time.
Master was the pastor. I like that one. I just,
What was
I'm gonna keep that one. Master was. I'm gonna keep that one. I'm gonna keep that.
It was the pastor. That'll preach, won't it, Johnson?
Yeah,
All by itself.
that's coming all the way from New York, New York. Them Yankees even know the deal down here, man. Golly. All right. All right. Let's see. Yeah, money driven, Pastor Morton. And I'll say this, Pastor Morton just brought back a memory. You guys remember when Pence went to that big church in Texas? I can't think of the man's name. But they reaped the benefit. That church reaped a huge benefit from the PPP.
First Baptist.
Yeah.
The one he sent to Israel to be the ambassador.
Oh, he did that too?
Yeah, not to be the ambassador. He sent him over there to have some talking points for America. I think it was First Baptist in Dallas. I think that's the guy.
Yeah. So you got paid
real,
for that too.
Yeah, real conservative. Him and John Hagee and those guys, they in that same Trump thing together.
Okay. Thank you, Wendy, Sister Wendy. I was thinking we were getting lost there for a minute, but we're gonna get you guys out of here. All right. On this right here, we reside in South Carolina. Those of you that may be listening from around the country. So this is kind of personal for me. However, it affects you too nationally, because this guy that I want to bring up is over the judicial committee at the White House, and his name is Lindsey Graham. So, guys, I want to close with, what do you think that this did for or didn't do for Lindsey Graham? Now, we understand that they're at a tie, Harris and Lindsey Graham here in South Carolina is running for senator. However, at the same time, we understand that Trump is ahead of Biden by 10 points right now. But my concern right now is more or less Lindsey. Do you think this helped his cause, Bishop, tonight?
I don't think so. I think that I think that in South Carolina, a lot of white folk are fed up with Lindsey Graham. I really do. I think they sick of him.
Why are they sick of him? Why do you think they sick of him?
Well, because he's flip-flopped so much.
Mm-hmm.
He has no backbone. He's a jellyfish. His spine is like water.
Mm-hmm.
And one thing about white South Carolinians, they believe in sticking with what you say you're gonna do.
Mm-hmm.
And Lindsey Graham has flip-flopped more than anybody that I've ever seen. And he's in trouble right now. Now,
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he's gonna lose, but it's gonna be it's a dead heat right now for Lindsey Graham.
Yes, sir.
And nobody can trust what he says, man.
Mm-hmm.
What he say in 2016, Johnson?
You can use my words against me. He said it.
Against me.
Mm-hmm.
Now it doesn't come back to haunt him. And Biden is using his words against him. Mm-hmm. Nobody can trust him, man. Nobody can trust Lindsey Graham. So I don't think it helped him a bit. I don't know if it hurt him, but I don't think it helped him.
Okay. Johnson?
I echo the same sentiments, man. At the end of the day, Lindsey, and I tell people this all the time. I said, I probably don't agree with Lindsey on a lot of policy or ideology, but I used to always respect the fact that I felt he believed in what he was standing behind. And I knew where he stood.
That's right.
And you don't recognize that Lindsey Graham anymore. And I talk to a lot, like Pat or Bishop is saying, I talk to a lot of my white friends who are like, oh no, Lindsey got to go. They are tired. They are fed up. The flip-flopping is doing it for them. But the biggest thing that I think is really doing it for a lot of them, they knew what Trump was going to bring. To this day, they still know what Trump is going to bring. But they voted for Trump on the singular issue of the Supreme Court. Others voted for Trump because he was an outsider. They knew he was an outsider. But what they always felt would happen is there would be 5 good men around him to steer him straight. And there have not been 5 good men around him to steer him straight. Lindsey Graham was one of those guys that they thought would steer him straight, would hold him accountable. And Lindsey didn't do that. He actually went in there and jumped right behind him and became just like him.
Or worse.
Well, Lindsey also, Johnson, to piggyback on what you said, and you're exactly right, my brother. Lindsey also thought he was going to be attorney general. He thought that after Jeff Sessions was out, he thought he was going to step in. And then Trump flipped on Lindsey one time.
That's right.
You know, and then Lindsey found out he didn't have Trump support, and then he eased himself back in, flip-flopping again. You can't do that, man. White folk in South Carolina, if they vote red, they want to know, are you loyal? And right now, Lindsey can't be trusted. He can't be trusted, man. And I hope he get voted out.
You and me both.
Yeah. I want to see Damon Harrison.
Yeah. Okay. Let you guys out on ask you Bishop to give a final thought as we prepare to get out of here.
Well, listen, I appreciate you guys so much. Johnson, I got the highest respect for you. Just met you. But brother, I tell you, man, when this COVID clears up, you got to come to Greenwood, brother. As a matter of fact, I'm going to set up a revival where y'all two come. Eric Morton on here. I'll just bring Wiley Johnson and Eric, and we'll have revival at Mars Chapel. But I like the fact that we're balanced. I like the fact that we all have conservative principles. I think we all have some ideologies that are very conservative, but we all also are speaking against things that are keeping us from going forward as a people and being equal. Tonight was a circus. Tonight, to me, was the worst thing I ever seen, if you want to call it a debate. There was no winner. But one thing I can say about Biden is he surprised a lot of folk.
Yes, sir.
He surprised a lot of folk, man. He held on the best way he could, and it didn't hurt him. And I think with independence, it might have helped him a little bit. Trump, he gonna have his 39%, his base. They're gonna be there until they die, man. They're gonna be red Trump until they die. So that's not gonna move the needle. But I don't think he moved. I don't think he gained any support tonight from anybody that was between partisan politics, independence. I don't think he moved at all.
Okay. All right, that's good news. Yeah. So, Johnson, last thoughts there, brother?
What I've said already, and I agree. No one's really moved on this. Maybe some people who are on the fence decide they're just gonna abstain and not vote. But I think there's enough energy on both sides who've already made up their mind that they're gonna vote. They're still gonna vote, and they still feel good about their vote.
Yeah. Well, I want to encourage everyone, even Biden, Democrat, Republican, Trump. Let's look beyond ourselves, because this election is much bigger than ourselves. Even if you're Republican, and don't say that you can't go back to being a Republican. This is a time and a moment that we have to literally take our country back. And I say briefly, I've never been so disgusted with my country. Not the people, but the head of it. And I can say it because I've served this country. 19 years, I've served community, young people, community organizer, and still serving as a pastor. We're up right now, these 3 gentlemen, including me, these 2 gentlemen, including me, we're up with you guys. We're not getting paid. It's a sacrifice for us. Some of us got to get up in the morning. and go deal with some more kids that may have the virus. Uh,
Right.
but the thing is that this is important. We got to we come too far to go back to the wrong American principles. We need to continue to process and progress. Um, Martin Luther King, Obama said that it may not be complete progress, but we are all still progressing to the dream that Martin Luther King had, and hopefully what the forefathers meant for us to have as a country. So let's get out and if they don't, we'll come back probably with vice president. If y'all be willing to come back, guys, we'll come back for the vice president. But I really don't care to deal with another one of these. It's useless. It's useless. We get nothing from it. So, but we thank you guys. Thank you all of you who tuned in tonight, and go get out and vote. My twin says, as my granddaughter would say, but she said she's going to vote in the morning, and my granddaughter would echo that period she has there by saying period poo. What? Period poo. That's what the young folks say. Y'all don't know that, did you? So let's go get that vote in. Period poo. All right.
For the record,
Too, we got somebody want us to come back, so we'll come back. Thank y'all for being up with us. Couldn't do it without you guys being up.
for the record, just want to say I voted today, absentee ballot. I'm so glad. I'm still in Florida, so I got my absentee ballot today, voted today, put it back in the mail today, so I feel good.
Oh, great. Johnson, and I want to get out of because we may lose this audience, never have it again. But can you share real quickly what we learned today about the being able to vote? Because there's been a mix up in the wording. We had the Greenwood County Democratic chairman on tonight.
Yeah, and he informed us that we can actually vote absentee in person. So we can, the whole month of October, essentially, I think after the 5th of October, you can go and vote in person ahead of the November 3rd. So if you don't want to be there, you have concerns about COVID, you want to go in with maybe a smaller crowd, less of a line, that option is available to you. And that's the first time it's available in South Carolina, maybe the last time it's available in South Carolina, but it is available for this election cycle.
Amen.
Yes. So get the word out and just go ahead and make October the voting month. Let's get this thing knocked down, because he got his white supremacists and all this other stuff standing down. What he said?
He says, go be poll watchers. Go watch them at poll.
Yeah, probably with guns.
Stand down and stand by. That's what he got them doing. So let them stand down, stand by in November by themselves. We already got the election in the bag.
Amen.
All right. God bless you all, and God bless you all who are tuned in, and have a great rest of the week. All right. See you guys. Thank you again.
Peace.